Good morning, and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News.
So that sounds all off this morning. And good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. And I was out of the office, my virtual office here yesterday. I had some things to get done, and those things hopefully will pay off in the long run. But thank you guys so much for joining me here this morning on our Tell It All Tuesday. I hope I've got enough information. Like, the news cycle travels really fast now. I was like, even when I was trying to like save things and, take notes as I was in my other appointment yesterday, I was like, there's a lot of news to cover today. There's a lot of things that happened. And I'm like, okay, so I will do my best to bring you some of the news and some of the things going on, outside, as they say. So with that, let's start with our Kids Corner.
Morning, Maddox was lost in thought at breakfast. His mom reminded him to eat, but he wasn't paying attention. Later that day, at soccer practice, Maddox missed the ball because he wasn't focused. His coach urged him to pay attention. The next day in class, Maddox was doodling instead of listening. When the teacher asked a question, he didn't know the answer. That evening, Maddox's dad told him how important it is to pay attention. Maddox realized he needed to change. The next day, Maddox started paying attention at home, at soccer, and in class. Soon, he was doing much better. Maddox learned that when you pay attention, you can do anything better. It's important to focus on what's in front of you, whether it's playing, learning, or just listening. Paying attention helps you succeed and makes life more enjoyable.
Yes. So for our little listeners out there, let's make sure that we are paying attention. And even for our big listeners, trust me, there are times in my life where I have to stop, go back. Let me just take a breath and read through this and really give it my full attention. And so I think that can definitely apply to all of us. And so with that, let's go into honoring God with our bodies. So God, please help us and guard our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please help me to listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect my eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, set a guard over my mouth. And Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, help my hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please help me to honor you with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please watch over my feet as I walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And so I definitely try to make sure to read that daily as a reminder for us to honor God with our body. And like I said, the news cycle was like, oh my goodness, so many things happened. And there are some things that I'm going to cover that I'm going to go more in depth with you guys. But the first thing I did want to touch on were the races that had been going on and that had been won by some pretty high point majorities by Democrats in different states.
I grant all of those things, except that we have seen this trend play out over and over and over again. David Neer over at the Down Ballot, great Substack, notes that the average margin of overperformance by Democrats is 13 points in special elections in 2025 and 2026, meaning the average Democrat running is doing 13 points better than Kamala Harris did in that district in 2024. This swing, another friend of mine, G. Elliott Morris at Strength in Numbers, another great Substack, he estimates the swing here from Trump plus 17 to Taylor Remmett, the Democrat, plus 14, so basically a plus 31 and a half, 32-point swing, is the largest we have seen in any special election since Donald Trump became president. And I got another stat for you.
Yeah. And I got another stat for yeah. So what's going on? Right? And see, my bigger question that I would want to ask is, and I'm going to, go more in depth and probably do some research in Grok, is what is the demographic makeup? And when I'm saying that, I'm not talking about the political demographic like Republicans to Democrats. I want to know who's voting. Are they Latino? Are they Black? Are they white? Are they Middle Eastern? I want to know the makeup, because in Texas, I know that they are starting to have a heavier demographic population, but a lot of that, in my opinion, is due to people who have now joined the Democratic Party, Islamicists, right? And they don't want to join the Republican Party because there's some things they want to do that may not align with the Republican Party, right? So they rather be in the Democratic Party. I want to see that because, they are talking about Epic City there. And then I was looking at another post in my X feed talking about they want to build a little Qatar in Arizona. What? What's going on in America? And it's interesting because it's like, okay, these are the same areas that Trump won. Oh, he won the state overall, but there were certain areas, like I said, that Kamala Harris may or may not won, and it was higher points. And these are special elections. And see, a lot of people don't come out for the special elections. I don't want to say they're not a hidden secret, but they have a very large impact, and they impact how people vote in elections that happen after the fact, right? And that even happened in my area here. I live in Georgia. I won't say like exactly where, but in the county that I live in, one of our commissioners had stepped down. And she had some business things she was doing. And I was like, okay, I get it. So she was doing that. Well, the person that they inserted, nobody really knew this person. Now, they didn't have to do it by special election. They just nominated this person to the seat. But the following election, because people tend to kind of vote one way and not another way, even if that person didn't have a lot of promotion, they still kept that person in office for one more cycle. Now, I want to say they've been voted out this past cycle. Somebody else is in that place. But it took at least one election cycle to cycle them out. But I thought it was very fascinating. It's like, okay, so what these special elections do is they put people in, and they can do it by vote. And obviously, that's how they did it. They did it by vote. But a lot of times they're not heavily publicized that there is did you know the special elections were going on? You know what I mean? There's like, they're not publicized. But if you have a good ground game, which Democrats do have a good ground game. I'm not going to give them that. They have a ground game. They get out the vote. They, make sure that they are doing their voter drives and registrations. And so that's why their people know to go out and vote. They help people get to the polls. They do. It is what it is. I mean, you want to be mad at the game? Don't be mad at the game. Don't hit, is one of those things. Don't hit the player, hit the game. Like, they are on their business about getting people to the polls, and that's what it's about. Again, it's about the outreach. If you're not doing the outreach, you can't be mad. And they were saying, Republicans outspent this other person by great margins, and the Republicans still lost. What happened? Right? And it's not just there. It's not just in Texas. It's in other places as well. So there needs to be the bigger question, what actually happened during these races? And like I said, I'm going to get more into it, and I'm going to do a deeper dive and just kind of find out what's going on with these special elections. And, why is there a lower voter turnout, especially with the outcry that people have had with, not wanting the mass immigration and different things like that. Now, this next one I'm going to get into. Now, this is something that happened over the weekend. If you guys are not aware, this is the speech that the artist Shabuzi won at the Grammys. So I definitely wanted to cover that. So let's get that going.
Last thing I want to say, immigrants built this country, literally. So this is for them, for all children of immigrants. This is also for those who came to this country in search of better opportunity, to be a part of a nation that promised freedom for all and equal opportunity to everyone willing to work for it. Thank you for bringing your culture, your music, your stories, and your traditions here. You give America color. I love y'all so much. Thank you.
Now, for some people, they may be offended that he would say it the way he did, right? That immigrants built this country. No, that's not completely accurate. Immigrants benefited from the country that they migrated to that was already built. Now, I'm not going to say that they did not contribute. See, it's a difference between building and contributing. I'll definitely say, there have been immigrants that have contributed as they brought over some things from their place of origin as they migrated here. But we have to remember, this country wanted to stay predominantly Nordic once the Constitution was put in place. If anybody doesn't understand that, they wanted it to stay predominantly European. They did not want other people of melanated skin here on the soil, because they already had slaves here on the soil who had to be, and this always just is silly to me, because we have a constitution that says all men are created equal. But you had to create a Civil Rights Act in 1866 when the slaves were emancipated to reaffirm that all men are created equal. It's just it's weird. I know there are some people giving this gentleman a pass, like he didn't know. And it's like, look, if you're going to say something like that, be prepared, because you have now entered the conversation, right? So no, we don't get to give you a pass and just say, oh, well, he's just an artist. And you entered the conversation. Immigration is a hot button issue right now, and it's predominantly legal and illegal immigration. The illegal part, obviously, on its face, people are not happy about it at all. The legal immigration that's going on, there's two parts to it, right? You've got people who have come into this country legally and have, with blood, sweat, and tears, made sure that their, families were made whole. And then you've got the backlog of people still trying to get into this country. And then you have those who have taken advantage of legal immigration through things like visas, particularly J1 visas or H1B visas, which is another hot button issue. So immigration is a hot button issue, but let's be clear. Immigrants did not build this country. They contributed, because you can't build something that was already built when you got here. I'm just saying. It is what it is. But if you're going to enter the conversation, make sure you have all of your facts. Because, Mr. Shibuzi, he is of Nigerian descent. He's melanated. He is not a black man. He is a Nigerian. And that needs to be told. Now, a lot of people might get offended, and they might say, well, why are you just singling him out and saying this or saying that? I'm not saying anything. But what I am trying to point out is that just because someone has melanated skin does not make them a darker melanated person. Doesn't make them a black man. Like President Barack Obama, he is not a black man. He is of Kenyan descent. He does not have any lineage traced to this soil. His mother is Caucasian. She's from Kentucky. That's the lineage that he has. But he does not have any ties to being a descendant of slavery. Therefore, he is not a black man. And I know a lot of people say, well, what does that even mean? It means that the Negro, translated Negro, it also means black. You are not a Negro. Okay? Not everyone is a Black American or a Negro American. And that needs to be stated. Because, again, this is a hot button issue. You decided to enter the conversation. So I suggest, Mr. Shibuzi, you bone up. Because you're going to get a lot of questions on this. And there are going to be a lot of people questioning you. I'm not trying to come down on you. I don't even want to take from your shine. Good on you. You won a Grammy. Not easy feat. Not an easy feat at all. Good on you. But if you're going to enter the conversation, make sure you enter it. And you are able to hold your own in the conversation. Because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come back with factual information that contradicts what you said. So just saying. Be prepared. Okay, now the next video we're going to get into, we're going to look at a little bit of the anti-ICE raids that started on Friday, and they brought the children into these raids. And I don't understand the level of, how should I say it, arrogance of some of these educators. I guess that's what they call themselves. I call them indoctrination centers at this point, because there are so many things at play here. But what I did find out is it's not illegal for the administrators to do what they did. So let's just start there, which is crazy. It's not illegal, but what could, and this is just my personal argument, what could be argued is that, did they have permission from the parents for their children to participate in such activities? That's the question. Because see, when activities were done like this before, when children did not want to go out and participate, they were punished. So the children that didn't want to go and stay behind, they were punished, right? You're going to start seeing probably in X feeds, and I came across one where a child was, they were threatened with expulsion if they didn't participate. Now, this happened before, even under the Biden administration. They were taking kids out to protest. So this isn't the first time it's happened. And that's what I need people to remember. This is not the first time, but I think it's the first time that it's happened on such a mass scale, right? To where it took a lot of notice. I think it was happening, like in smaller places, and it was just like a little bit over here, a little bit, but this was more of a coordinated effort. So then that goes back to, Who are these administrators communicating with all over the country to actually have a mass protest happen in all of these high schools and middle schools, elementary schools, kindergartens, and even preschools? Who are you working with? Who are you associated with that you're doing this? And do you have the permission of the parents? Are parents actually allowing you to take their children outside and do this? Yeah, it's definitely a larger conversation, but again, it's not illegal. So how should I say it? If a parent was opposed to this, there isn't a precedent binding. There isn't a law or statute you can point to and say, hey, you're wrong. You shouldn't have done this, right? We know that people may get fired behind it or whatever in certain schools administrations, depending on who the superintendents are. But there's not really a law in place, if that makes sense to anybody. There's not a law that says they can't do this. But like I said, if a parent can argue, I didn't give you permission to do this, and that would be true. If there wasn't a parental slip sent home saying, hey, parents, we're planning on doing a mass protest and walkout, trust me, there would have been a whole bunch of parents up at the school going, no, you're not. So you know that the parents weren't informed. If the parents weren't informed, who gave consent? And if there was no consent given, then it goes back to the rules and regulations of that school district, right? Of that school, and what is considered participation and what is not. Because luckily, and I don't know this yet, luckily no one was injured, right? No students were hurt or injured during this, because if that happened and there's no parental, approval given, then the school's in a ton of trouble. I mean, they're already in trouble right now because there was no parental permission given. And if that's found out, then this is then that unpacks another can of worms. So let's just check this out. Oops. Stopped and playing.
Democrats' completely fake, manufactured, bought and paid for anti-ICE protests are backfiring massively. Lunatic leftists are now using their children as human shields at these anti-ICE riots. And people are finally realizing how truly insane this movement is. It's consistent that the party who supports Hamas is now employing the same wreak havoc and chaos then hide behind children tactic as Hamas. And because Democrats simply refuse to leave your children alone, they've decided that indoctrinating them in trans ideology is so 2022. So now they're indoctrinating them to be open border communist revolutionaries. I'm not kidding. This video is insane. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. But let's start with the most humiliating moment from a recent Minneapolis ICE protest. They are recreating the iconic moment of American Marines, real American patriots, hoisting the American flag at Iwo Jima to support their radically anti-American open border destabilization agenda. These are a bunch of dorky, unaccomplished theater kids engaging in offensive, unoriginal, uninspiring, performative moral grandstanding. They're disingenuously referencing our historical sacrifice and bravery, while simultaneously insisting we have no culture or values and our history is evil and nothing to be proud of as justification for their open border agenda. It's just blatant mockery and hypocrisy at the exact same time. But now for a truly shocking clip coming out of Minneapolis. A mother on TikTok posted that she's taking her 18-month-old child out into negative 10-degree weather to attend a violent ICE protest. This is the most eye-opening example of the mental health crisis on the left. In her caption, she wrote, "My child is no more important than anybody else's child." Their twisted obsession with performative virtue signaling forces them to behave in ways that are completely unrelatable to normal people. It is an uncontroversial biological reality that people care about their own children more than someone else's child. It defies human nature at the most base level to believe something like that. This is simply unnatural, severe mental illness masked in noble virtue. She is engaging in child endangerment by bringing her toddler into a potentially dangerous situation in below zero temperatures, where lunatics like Alex Preddy kick the taillights off of ICE vehicles as they're peacefully driving away, which subsequently causes agents to get out and shoot pepper balls and tear gas. And that's why, because of intentional child abuse and neglect, a 7-year-old girl at a Minneapolis ICE protest got hit by some tear gas. Democrats are putting their kids in danger and violating their innocence, all to use as political pawns to push some radical agenda. Like, it is genuinely terrifying that Democrats are happily willing to sacrifice their children at the altar of the revolution. Intentionally putting your child in harm's way to spark emotional outrage is the absolute worst form of domestic terrorism. And because the left still has a grip on the institution of academia, they use their power and influence to command high schoolers across America to go out and protest ICE. Take a look at this.
Now, here's the thing. What parent was notified that this was going to happen and signed a permission slip allowing their children to participate in that? That's what this is going to come back to. And if there were no formal permission slips, now, usually, and this is what happened at my school, not my school, but with my children. When I moved to Georgia, they had assigned almost like a blanket permission slip where it kind of asks us, like, do you want them on video? Are you okay with them being on video or not? Right? It's like, okay, are you okay with them participating in kind of like, I don't want to call them like ad hoc field trips, but if there was like an ad hoc field trip, like something quick. But because of where we lived, we were in Atlanta, and so we were near Piedmont Park, and we were near the High Museum, and just different things that they had access to, that they could take kids to have an educational experience. It was almost like ad hoc permission. So did these parents, and I'm just bringing this up, did these parents unwillingly sign something that could have said, well, you signed this blank permission slip, so you basically approved of them doing this? I'm just saying. What if the school actually did that? And these parents unknowingly signed something, kind of waiving their rights in a way, not knowing that this could happen. It's quite possible. Definitely quite possible.
Now, that doesn't look like a protest as much as it looks like uncontrolled, rambunctious chaos and destruction. And let me be clear, that is exactly the point. It's not about protesting ICE deporting illegal aliens. It's about giving these young students a taste of the primal psychological thrill of mob mentality and getting them addicted to it, getting them hooked to the rush of irrational violence and destruction, letting all your inhibitions fade away as you melt into the flow and ebb of the angry mob. It's not about standing and marching for a righteous cause. Because at one of these high school protests, the kids actually robbed an old Asian man who was there on their side.
Get your old ass on, nigga.
The worst part about this is at all these schools where riots and protests were encouraged by the administration, people are posting proof that these schools have abysmal academic success. There is an academic crisis across America. Children can't read. Children can't write. They can't do math. They are simply being indoctrinated in radical left ideology and being groomed to be social justice warriors or communist revolutionaries. This happened at my own hometown in a high school that has a 21% math proficiency and 24% reading proficiency, while also having an 83% graduation rate. Make that make sense. That's why the value of a college degree has been completely eroded, because the criteria to attend college is no longer can you read or write or do arithmetic. It's only did you successfully sit through your 13 years of radical left indoctrination, and are you part of a marginalized victimhood group, thus increasing the likelihood you'll just digest the Marxist slop and become a good revolutionary. But once again, Democrats are having to learn the hard way: when you mess with people's children, the parents start fighting back. Here is a mother angrily going into her child's high school and yanking them out of school because she's furious.
And it's actually middle school.
They would allow these kids to leave school to riot.
This is my daughter's middle school. Being allowed to protest ICE agents, disrupting traffic, having everyone honk. I'm pulling my child from school today. This is fucking unbelievable.
Sorry for the language, guys.
I'm here to pull my child from the school right now. I'm here to pull Remington Gates from the school district.
So you want to withdraw it?
Yep. This is unbelievable. I can't believe my kid is in this environment right now.
Smash the like button for that mother. That is a parent who cares. Protesting comes with consequences. Protesting requires sacrifice. These schools should not be allowing children to leave in the middle of the day, go into the public as a mob, and wreak havoc and chaos. They should have said firmly, any student who leaves the building will be suspended. And if you still feel like protesting is worth it, then by all means, that's your right. But the fact that the schools encouraged it and facilitated it means this is an institutional effort to mobilize your children to fight for causes they don't understand, to use them as pawns and foot soldiers in a radical anti-American Marxist agenda. But they aren't just stopping with high schoolers. Those are the kids closest to military age. So they want them to go experience violence and get a taste for bloodlust. But they are also targeting preschoolers and kindergartners with this absurd indoctrination.
Kindergartners, I want to say to you that kindergartners are natural social justice warriors. Like I mentioned before, I see this all the time on the playground. That's unfair. And this is why it's unfair. This is the reasons that it's unfair. And I think if we just build upon the mindset of a kindergartner, that it's fantastic. You can get them to do fabulous things in the social justice realm.
And that's just gross. I mean, these are babies. I mean, they are not fully developed, ego until 5. So the ages of 1 to 5 are extremely precious because it kind of determines, what their personality may come out, right? So it's like pulling out the best of the person or pulling out the worst of the person. It's very, very, very tragic. Yeah, this is what they had the kids doing, y'all. Anybody's parents sign off on that? Anybody? Anybody sign a permission slip? Yeah. And the thing about it is, kids seek approval. They want to be loved. They want to be lauded, right? They don't want people coming to them, you're bad, you're doing, you know what I'm saying? They don't want people saying mean things. They want approval. So they're going to do what you say, even if what you're saying is wrong. And they don't know. They are trusting the adults that they're around. And I just wonder for the parents, we need to pray for these parents who have entrusted their children with these individuals that have an agenda. It's like, you know what? In your personal life, if you want to have that agenda, fine. But don't do that to other people's children. Now there might be situations where people want their children indoctrinated like that. I gotta leave that door open. But for the ones who did not, yeah, we need to pray for these parents.
Charlie Kirk spoke to college students because they are voters and have only been exposed to extreme left-wing indoctrination for 20 years. But he never told them what to think or how to feel. He simply challenged their belief system and gave them another perspective to consider, and always encouraged them to think for themselves and come to their own conclusions. These teachers, however, are telling their kids what to think and how to feel, shaping their belief system, their morals, their values, not based on what their parents care about, but what the school system cares about. Taking advantage of young, vulnerable, impressionable children is the utmost vile thing a person can do. And Democrats seemingly haven't learned from their 2024 election loss that parents hate when you target their children. But if you're wondering why Democrats are mobilizing the children, why they're fighting so incessantly against ICE like they've never done before, well, it's because after Donald Trump lost in 2020, the Democrat establishment wanted to make sure he would never be able to challenge them again. And so they made a massive investment in importing tens of millions of third worlders who would inevitably be future Democrat voters. And because Trump defied the odds and won again, the Democrats had to mobilize their Revolutionary Guard to prevent the deportation of their investment. And they're not even hiding the fact that that was the plan anymore. Take a look at this last clip I'm going to show you because it is going to leave your jaw on the floor.
Do you believe that people should have to be United States citizens in order to vote in Arizona's elections?
I'm representing an organization and I'm speaking to this bill. I've shared those sentiments.
Does the organization you're here representing believe that people should have to be United States citizens in order to vote in Arizona's elections?
That's a question that I have to go back for that very specific question to get the response because I don't know.
Mr. Chair, that's not an answer.
It is not.
My name is Jody Lee. I'm here on behalf of Lucha.
Does Lucha believe that people should have to be citizens of the United States in order to vote in Arizona's elections?
I believe that I don't have an answer from that directly from Lucha. And I think certainly they believe all taxpayers should have access to democracy.
That was quite a word salad. People who are non-citizens who are working in Arizona, whether they're here legally or illegally, pay taxes. Does Lucha believe that non-citizens should be able to vote in Arizona just because they pay taxes?
I don't feel comfortable making a definitive statement on behalf of the organization.
Hi, sorry, Caitlin Contreras with the ACLU.
Is it the position of the ACLU that people should have to be U.S. citizens in order to vote in Arizona's elections?
It is the ACLU's position that voting should be fair and accessible and to everyone who is eligible.
That would be a U.S. citizen.
There it is. There is no better proof I could show you that we are truly in a fight for America's survival. They imported people from countries that are so destabilized, whose lives are so bad, that being a lifelong government welfare dependent is like living in luxury. And who do you think they're going to vote for? The people who don't believe America should be a welfare state, or the people who want to hand out maximum welfare in exchange for total control over your lives? All these parents and teachers teachers should be in jail. And I hope more good parents realize what's going on and behave exactly like that woman who yanked her child out of that school, aka liberal Marxist indoctrination camp. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that.
Yeah. That's weird. Like the ACLU was like, well, that would just depend on if they were eligible or not. It's like, ma'am. Now, I don't think he should have used the word believe, because when you could believe, that could be considered religion. I would have asked the question a little bit differently. I would have said, according to the law, people who are non-citizens are not able to vote. What is your position? Should non-citizens be able to vote in our elections if they are not legal citizens? Period. And it was weird because no matter how you asked it, they all avoided the question. So, not legal citizens here of the United States being able to vote. That means you're okay with people that are green card holders, visas, right? Because just because somebody has an H-1B visa does not make them eligible to vote, but they're voting. That's what we have to know. Just because someone has a visa doesn't make them eligible to vote, but they're voting. This is why some states don't want you have to have ID. California, New York, you don't have to have an ID to vote. And you can vote as many times as you want. You go to different boroughs. They're not tracking it. Yeah. They're not requiring ID to vote. That's why I'm encouraging everybody, if you really want to make a difference, volunteer to work at the Board of Elections in your city, county, and state. Okay, all those levels, city, county, state. Why? Because then you'll get to see the process from the inside, because it's the vote is where it matters. Okay, yes, we do need good representation from our state legislatures, from our municipalities, our mayors, right? Our council members, our commissioners, aldermen, in some areas. But if no one knows what's happening behind the scenes with the voting, we're done. We are done. Does anybody remember how they were putting up boards and over the perimeters of different things? Which election was that? Was that 2016 or 2020? It was one of them. It might have been 2020, where people were locked out, like Republicans that were supposed to be there to be, I want to say they were like poll watchers, right? Because there's poll workers and then there's poll watchers. And I was a poll watcher, right? So you go in and you just make sure that things are good. Like if a machine gets messed up, you have to sit down with the person that's actually facilitating the poll site, and you talk to them and you say, okay, what happened? And you go over it and it's like, this is what I saw. And you guys, and they, you report it to them, you guys talk about it, discuss it, and it's reported and it's logged and it's cataloged. And then you report back to your precinct, right? Whatever that is. So I've been a part of that. So I know the poll watcher role. They weren't letting people in certain places during the 2020 election. They were kicking them out. And by the time that somebody had to file with a judge to say, hey, this happened, the election day's over, right? But this past election, 2024, oh no, they were like slapping down stuff like, oh, nope, you can't do that. Judge, they literally had judges like on site to make determinations. So there was less cheating that people were able to, because I call it cheating. Like, why are you going through all of these things if you can't just win on the merits? Like, what's wrong? Why do you have to import people? People that are not U.S. citizens, whether they are born or naturalized. And when I say born or naturalized, because I'm a descendant, right, of this country. So that means my people were here before the Constitution was signed. Okay. And then they were here after the Constitution was signed. Like, I'm here. Like, this is it. This is home for me. Nowhere else. This is it. And then there are people that are naturalized who are predominantly immigrants, right, that were naturalized. But if you are not a naturalized citizen or a born citizen, you shouldn't be voting, period. If you are carrying a visa, you do not get to participate in our elections. But like I said, it's being allowed. And that's the problem. The more people we have, the more seats that they're trying to get, especially within these Democratic areas. They're trying to flood the zone, so to speak. It's disgusting. And you have it going on, and it needs to stop. But again, we need people that are going to work at the election board, city, state, okay? At your city level and your state level, those two. Get in there. I'm sorry, and I forgot the county, city, county, state. Yes, county level too, because there is a difference between the county board of elections and your city board of elections. They kind of work together in some places. At least that's how it does for us here in Georgia. So the next piece of news I wanted to get to, somebody actually asked me to cover this, was Trump's pick for the Fed chair. So I wanted to share this article from the New York Times. Okay, hopefully, oops.
Answers.
I'll leave that on mute till it finishes. It's a little queuing commercial like they have, all the ads, right? Okay, almost there. There we go.
This is Kevin Warsh, and he's just been nominated to the most powerful position at the Federal Reserve.
If confirmed by the Senate, he will replace Jerome Powell as chair of the Fed once his term ends in May. This is one of the most consequential appointments that the president is going to make. The more people that Trump can bring on to the central bank, the higher the likelihood that the central bank will shift more in the direction that the president wants. Now, he's made clear his criteria for the Fed chair. It's someone who supports lower interest rates, and he's even went so far as to explicitly say that he would not choose someone who disagreed with him.
Someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot.
Warsh, who previously worked as an aide to President George W. Bush, has publicly backed the need for rate cuts, arguing that tariffs will not lead to persistently higher inflation. Warsh currently works with billionaire investor Stanley Druckenmiller and is also a senior fellow at Stanford University's Hoover Institution, has emerged as a staunch critic of the central bank.
This isn't the first time you've heard me in the last decade say we need regime change at the Fed.
The Fed's primary responsibility is to maximize the amount of employment in the economy and to keep inflation low and stable. And it does that by setting interest rates. The Fed chair will have significant influence over the policymaking process, but he will not have total control. Rate decisions are made by committee, and some of the most important people he'll have to convince are the 6 other members of the Board of Governors. The president nominates the members of the Board of Governors in Washington. He was the one that nominated Chair Powell in his first term. He also nominated Chris Waller, a governor, and Michelle Bowman and Stephen Myron. But Lisa Cook is at the center of this whole saga because Trump has tried to fire Lisa Cook, a Biden appointee. Now, she's been allowed to stay on the Fed and serve, and she will do so until the Supreme Court decides on her fate. Of the current and former policymakers that I speak to, they say it's absolutely critical that the Fed stays independent, not only for the health of the economy, but also the stability of the global financial system. If people start to lose confidence in how the central bank operates, then that's going to have massive implications for everyone.
Okay. Now,
this is Kevin Ward.
Stop it. It's kind of interesting because people have been lost faith in the Federal Reserve. Like, this is really this like, it was one of those things. This is the straw. Like, this is where we're at, ma'am. The Federal Reserve has nothing to do with being federal, and everybody needs to know that they were written in as an agency. They're just not called an agency, but that's what they are. And they work with the Treasury. It's bureaucracy. They have, their power was given to them to make sure that the United States was kept underfoot. It's disgusting. Read, it's called The Creature from Jekyll Island, and it talks about how they literally sat in a room and created the Federal Reserve. Again, which is not federal at all. It was not woven within our Constitution. It was created. So when people talk about the Federal Reserve like it is this all encompassing being, it's not, but it was given great power to rule within the system. And that's the issue that people have with it, because it's uncontrollable and it shouldn't be. Who do you answer to? Do you answer to the legislative branch, executive branch, judicial branch? No, you don't answer to anybody, but you're a part of our financial system and you answer to no one. Like, just me saying that should have people's hair on fire. But there are some people, it's kind of like, oh, it is what it is. Whew, so sad. But I want to send some shouts outs and some good mornings. Good mornings, April Showers. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're posting the stream. Sova for Love, thank you so much for joining us and reposting the stream. And Sweet Sister says, good Grand Rising founder and Grand Rising to you, Sweet Sister. And thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News. Sorry, I've been awake because, like I said, the news cycle has been like, woo woo. I was like, I put stuff together on Sunday night and I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to miss Monday, but I'll be back on Tuesday. I was like, jaw dropping. Yeah. And I'm not mentioning certain files that were dropped and all that other stuff because I got to look. I've told you guys how I felt about it. If no one's going to prison, we can talk about all of this stuff till we are blue in the face. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they didn't redact this person. I can't believe prison. Who's going to prison for this? And if no one's going to prison for this, you're complicit in it, all of you, every single one of you. And I don't want to hear it anymore. All I want to hear is clink, clink. Who's going next? Because if they're not, then we know you don't care. Then we know you support all of the nonsense that happened. It happened. It may not have happened under your watch, but if you are not calling for people to be put into prison so these atrocities don't continue to happen to other people, you are okay with all of it. All of it. You no longer get to wash your hands like Pontius Pilate and walk away and say, well, it's not on me. Wasn't under my watch. Happened before my time. I don't have any. If you have the capacity to stop these evil people, stop them and put them in prison. Seize their homes and their cars and everything else you got to do. But oh yeah, that's right. They're some of the most powerful beings on the planet. So you're just going to let them continue to do evil? Is that where we're at? Is that where we're at? Because again, if no one's going to prison, you are complicit with all of it. And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear you whining. I don't want to hear you crying about it. Fix it now. That's the only option you have, because if you don't fix it, we're going to make sure that you never return to office again. 2026 is coming up. Look, people keep thinking they're just going to skate into office and stay there. You're not. And newsflash, all of you interesting people who've just gotten into office, special election, y'all ain't gonna stay there for long. You recent governors, you want to tax people into oblivion and then yell, Trump's making everything unaffordable. Y'all are weird. You tax people into oblivion in your states and you complain about the federal government not making it affordable. You're making it unaffordable. What is wrong with you? Even Mandani, he's talking about, well, yeah, we're just going to have to tax more of the rich people. How about you stop being wasteful in your city with some of the entitlement programs that you have and save some money there? How about that? How about that? How about you focus on building up businesses in a capital sense and getting people off of welfare? How about you allow ICE to get people up off the soil that don't even belong here and stop giving them welfare? How about that? Like, there's some things you can do. But your solution is just, let's just keep taxing people and giving people free stuff. Yeah, it's not sustainable. It just isn't. It is not. Now, There was something that did happen over the weekend that I wanted to kind of flush out because one of the content creators, they were going over this and I didn't know that this had happened. Now, we're all familiar with what happened in Minneapolis with the church. I think we should all be familiar with that by now because some people have been arrested, Don Lemon being one of them. And I will use the word for him allegedly, right? Being part of protesting inside of a church, which violates the FACE Act, but it also violates the KKK Act put into place when you're violating people's right of worship or intimidating them in a way. So I'm going to play that video. The other video I'm going to play is where someone, it was a pastor, he took it upon himself to go into a church, and this church was New Birth, and he decided he was going to be in the lobby area and pray and preach. And I'm not sure if he wanted to try to enter service, but he was praying and preaching. Now, a lot of people will look at this two different things. Well, the pastor, he was just praying and preaching. My question is, was he invited? Okay. What were his intentions? Right? And a lot of people say, well, it was just intention. You know, he was just a pastor. He was just praying. Did he ask? Could he pray over their church in the lobby area? Did the parishioners feel intimidated by him coming into their church? Because he's not a member. He just decided to take it upon himself and just come from Alabama to kind of pray over this church. Now, personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable with anybody even coming doing that in my church. If you don't ask my pastor if it's okay if you come into our lobby area and just start loudly, not like you're over in the corner and just kind of praying to yourself, whatever. But you come in to the outer sanctuary where people have to walk past you to get to service, and you're just saying all these, just praying. And I don't feel comfortable with that. You know why? That's why the KKK Act was put into place, because there were people who felt the need to do that at Black churches. That is why it's in place. Now, the KKK Act was also put in place because they burned down those churches. And sometimes they burnt down the churches with the people still in those churches. Another reason why it was put into place. But that's why it was put into place, because so people could worship in peace. Plain and simple. So this pastor taking it upon himself, in my opinion, he should come to the same fate as Don Lemon. You don't do that. You don't do that in the name of God. Because in my opinion, you're breaking the law. Unless you asked to come there, unless you asked anybody, is it okay if I do this? You need to be out on you can do that on the sidewalk if you want to do that. You don't come into somebody's church doing that. And the reason why I'm saying we got to tighten this up is because it's going to continue to happen. I saw another video that I put in my bookmark where, yes, the protesters were outside, but they were outside of a church as people were walking outside the church, yelling all kind of epithets. Is this the new thing? We're just going to come down on all the Christians now, wherever they're at, and we're going to yell them and scream out, because you're not at the mosque. You're not at the synagogue. You're not at these Tibetan temples harassing these other people. Yes, it is harassment. What are you doing? Well, we're just peacefully protesting. What are you protesting? What? You just want to make life unbearable for everybody? What are you even protesting about? A protest should have an end result. What are you trying to get? We want ICE out of our streets. That's never going to happen as long as there's illegal immigration. Just not going to happen. Just saying. There are just some things that are what they are. But let me share these videos with you guys. The first one is going to be from Minneapolis, so we can just see the difference.
Anti-ICE protesters interrupting service at a St. Paul, Minnesota church on Sunday.
Renee Good!
The demonstrators said they were there to protest a top ICE official in the Twin Cities who apparently also serves as a pastor. Within hours, the Justice Department announced an investigation into the protesters. The demonstration, another example of growing tensions in Minnesota, coming as the Pentagon orders roughly 1,500 active duty soldiers to prepare for possible deployment to the state. Meanwhile, a lawyer for the family of Renee Good, who was fatally shot by an ICE agent earlier this month, is pushing for an investigation.
Let's let an investigator get all the facts and ultimately a judge or jury determine.
Sources now say the FBI did initially open a civil rights investigation into the agent who shot Good, but the focus quickly shifted to whether the agent was assaulted, with the probe now focused on the conduct of Good and those around her, including her widow. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said the Justice Department only investigates law enforcement shootings when it's appropriate, and, quote, that's not the case here.
Todd Blanche is telling us that he's determining on his own that that was a defensible act without an investigation.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Okay, so that was Minneapolis, right? Now let's see the scene from here. It's in Georgia from New Birth.
I know that holiness is still right. And I know there's a church that claims to be of Jesus and they're liars. They make it all about the world. They sell goods. They turn the name of Jesus Christ into a laughing stock with their whorishness and their wickedness. I love the Lord Jesus Christ. That's why I obey him. The Lord Jesus Christ is going to destroy this church. He's going to destroy this church. And if you're in it when he does, he'll destroy you with it. It's time to repent of your wicked ways. Race baiting, stirring hatred among the children of God, people that would come to Christ and won't because you make his name a laughing stock of, you blaspheme the name of Jesus Christ with your harlotry, with your whorishness, your wickedness, your filthiness. Your prayers don't even reach the ceiling. You pray to demons. It's time to get right with God. The God of the Bible is going to destroy you unless you repent. Your materialism, your racism, and all of your high-mindedness is going to end when Jesus returns. Jesus Christ is coming back in flaming fire. He's taking vengeance upon those who know not God and obey not the gospel. Oh, you need to repent. Your pedophile co-founder is in hell right now, and you're going to find your way into hell with him unless you repent. Shame on this wicked. You know, you take the name of God in vain, you go to hell.
Okay. Hey, sir, if you come back on this property, you're going to be arrested.
In vain, you take the name of God in vain, you will go straight to hell.
If y'all come back on this property, you're going to be arrested.
Straight to hell.
Make sure you record that.
Unless you repent, you will perish. Unless you repent, you will perish with your wicked, Jezebel, filthy, vile, naked whore of a first lady.
Now, you know, the content creator that I watched was like, well, I'm okay with this. I'm not okay with this. You know why? Because he violated what is called the FACE Act. He also violated the KKK Act. You cannot come into someone's church. Now, if he wanted to go, not the parking lot, but there's like an entranceway to the parking lot. If you wanted to go and preach all that there, hey, you are more than welcome because you're not on the grounds. Now, technically, they could have said, hey, you got to come across the street from even that, right? If you want to do that over there. But you cannot interfere with people's worship. And it starts in that parking lot. And then it goes into the building. And then it further goes into their sanctuary. All that is sacred. All of it. Okay? Because you got your kids with you or not. Yourself with you. Okay? Do I agree with everything they do at New Birth? No, that's why I don't go there. It's not my church. But they should still be protected by the law. Okay? I don't have to agree with you on how you worship. That's what you choose. Okay? Do I agree with everything that Jamal Bryant has done? No. There's a lot of preachers that I don't agree with. That's why I'm not in their congregation. But I'm not going to go to their congregation and admonish them when it's not my place. Now, here's the difference. I can admonish you from the sidewalk, and I can pray all I want to from that area, because that's where this freedom of speech is. Now, this is a street preacher. He wasn't on the street. He was in their sanctuary. And it's like, and somebody was like, well, it's not in the sanctuary, right, where the seating is, but it's in what's called the vestibule or the lobby area. That is still a part of your sanctuary. Because once you walk through those doors, that's where safety begins. Period. You are supposed to feel safe right there, whether you're going to the bathroom, which is outside of the seating area, whether you want to get some water or you just want to walk around. You need to, maybe just take a minute, take a breath. Some people, they get really emotional and they just need to take a step away. You should not have fear of any harassment, because when I saw him and heard him preach, I'm like, you're doing the same thing that the KKK people used to do to the black people, which is why we have the act. It wasn't just to stop them from literally terrorizing people and burning their churches down and abusing them. It was to stop them from doing what this man just did. You cannot come into somebody's church and basically say, you're wrong. This is wrong. And no, you weren't invited to come in there and pray. You were not invited. And as those gentlemen were escorting him out. Now, he left when they asked him to leave, but he should have left before all the other stuff was said. So I don't know what happened there, but I'm just saying somebody recorded it. It was happening. I'm not sure who was doing the recording. It seemed like there was a friendly recording, in my opinion. It was not an unfriendly. And what I mean by an unfriendly was it wasn't security saying, hey, sir, you need to take this outside. You are interrupting service. You are being disrespectful to our parishioners. You cannot do this. Because see, here's the thing. If we say that's okay, then it's going to happen at everybody's church and nobody's going to get to complain and say, hey, this person just walked up into our church just saying that we were going, to HE hockey sticks. And that person should be going to federal prison because they violated a federal law. It's not a state law. It's a federal law. It's not your place. If you did not come there to worship, and if you did not ask, hey, is it okay if I pray over your church? You should not be there. It's not your place to just go and disrupt. Now, a lot of people may disagree with me or what I'm saying, but the law is the law. You cannot both sides that. You can't. But that gentleman, the second one we watched, he's the reason why we even have the KKK Act anyway. Now, the person that kind of brought this to my attention, that's also a content creator on YouTube, they had a totally different take on it. They were okay with it. I'm not. Because I don't ever want to walk in my sanctuary and somebody's doing that in my church, ever. It probably wouldn't be allowed because we got some tight security and sheriffs and stuff. Like, they would, bro, ain't happening in my, it ain't happening in my church. I'm just saying. But it's wrong. You do not have the right to come onto somebody else's grounds and disrupt their service. That is the one place of peace that we have. And it will not be taken away. Period. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, we're going to get into some more of this news. Yeah. Let's take a moment to just kind of woosah, right? Well, thank you so much for joining me here on Tell It All Tuesday, and we will be right back, and I'll see you on the other side. Let's see.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. Now, I want to say this early. Next Monday, I will not be here again. I know. But next Monday is a very special day. It is a day of proclamation for the governor, and he recognizes the Georgia Black Republican Council. And I'm going to actually be at that event. That is something that is done for Black History Month, especially. And there's tons of events going on to celebrate Black History Month at our state's capital here in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm very honored to be a part of the ceremony, and that's why I won't be here next Monday, but I'll definitely make sure to share pictures, and hopefully I'll be able to get some video content to share that with you guys. But moving on, I wanted to share that, Nick Shirley, he's not just in Minneapolis, and he was in Greenland. He's also in California. So I wanted to share this short video that he posted while he was in San Diego, California.
It's Nick Sherry, our state, guys. Look.
It says there's 14 children enrolled here.
You don't care. This is my daycare.
Then where are the children?
You don't care.
Where are the children at?
It's not enough, Minnesota. You come here. It's not enough. It's Nick Sherry, our state, guys.
It's not enough. It's not enough for Minnesota. Ma'am, if you have nothing to hide, why are you so freaked out? That's all I'm saying. Like, what are we talking about? Like, what's going on with you, ma'am? What's going on? What's going on? I mean, really? Do you have something to hide? I mean, it doesn't look like you have anything to hide. You said everything was all good. So why are you so upset? I don't want to say why so serious, but why are you so upset? Why are you crashing out? He was just there kind of doing his thing, right? Because that's what he's doing right now. He's exposing everybody who could potentially be caught in fraud. If you have nothing to do with doing anything fraudulent, why are you crashing out? Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Now on next. Now, it's going to be like the last little part that we do. But it's interesting how people want ad hoc immigration, right? Now, we already have laws on the books for immigration. And according to our Constitution, the only body within the branches that has the ability to do anything with immigration is our Congress. So let's just take DACA, for example. If they wanted to make DACA legal, which the Supreme Court has deemed it illegal, because again, they were trying to do a workaround. But let's just say, if they wanted to make DACA legal and figure out a way to interweave it with immigration, that would be an act of Congress because that would affect immigration law. If they haven't done that, that's their fault. But it's interesting how you've got politicians that want ad hoc, in my opinion, immigration. They can't do that. But no one's putting the hammer down. But now, I mean, Donald Trump is kind of putting the hammer down with ICE, but still, this whole ad hoc immigration thing that they're doing is very, very fascinating. So I wanted to show a clip where actually it's a post. Oops. I got to go back, you guys. I forgot. This new system. I've got to do, because I'm sharing the direct link so you can also hear this, right? So you can hear the audio from it. I have to make sure that I'm getting the correct screen for this. So let me go back. Yeah, this is what I wanted to play. So this is a post on X from DeSantis. He says, well, just not in Martha's Vineyard, from what I hear. So the Boston's Mayor Wu, she says, every single human being has the legal right to come to the United States and seek shelter. How do you guys feel about that? Everybody? Like, everybody? Like, so everybody on the planet has the right to just come here? No. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? That's why I call it ad hoc immigration. Anybody know anything about ad hoc? That just means you literally are able to just kind of weave things in as you feel fit, whether it's legal or not. You just do it. Ad hoc. Let's see what she's got to say.
Every person, every human being has the legal right to come to the United States and seek asylum or shelter. And every person, every human being has the...
They actually don't. They don't. Because see, what people don't realize, and I've had to mention this before, people that are refugees and are asylum seekers are actually deemed that under the executive branch, making it okay for them to come over here. And they actually work with the legislative branch to bridge that gap, right? So they put in like temporary protected status. Okay. That was an executive order. It was never made into law. That is why Donald Trump was able to end it. So a lot of like the refugee status stuff and the asylum seeker stuff is under the executive branch. And they're short term. They're not long term. They were actually only supposed to be for 18 months. And that's still long, but people have done it for decades. So this backdoor amnesty that people keep trying to get, oh, well, you know, they've been here for so long and paying taxes. If they've been here over 10 years and they have not gotten their citizenship, they need to be deported. Because why are you here? And you're still here illegally? We've got people here illegally for 30, 40 years. Yeah. Yeah. You need to be deported. And a lot of people say, well, that's just me. No, it's not mean. You have been living here illegally. Get off the soil. You don't respect this country. Because if you did, you would have did the right thing decades ago. Obviously, you don't respect the country. Go home to wherever that origin is. But I have kids here. Not my fault, not my problem. You broke the law. Get out. And that's where I'm at on it. See, I'm not, you know, warm and fuzzy when it comes to immigration. I'm not. I'm pretty hardcore when it comes to that. You should not be here if you did not do this the right way. But now, I wanted to bring you guys a little blast from the past. You know, President Obama really set the tone for deportation. They call him the deportation in chief. And guess who worked with him? Tom Homan. He gave Tom Homan a medal because of all the deportations Tom did. Where were all the mass protests then for Tom Homan? Assisting in deporting 3 million people. Where was the outrage? They were still using ICE agents then under Obama. Yeah, I think we need to have a little bit of a history lesson on this.
We're serious about economic growth. It is time to heed the call of business leaders, labor leaders, faith leaders, law enforcement, and fix our broken immigration system.
We have to stop illegal immigration. We have to.
Trump was elected in a landslide, in part because of a simple promise to all of you, the American people, to secure the border and enforce immigration laws. This is not extreme. This doesn't make us Nazi Germany. Those officers are not Gestapo agents. It is simple law and order for safety and security carried out to protect, in this case, the people of Minnesota. In fact, even President Obama argued passionately, see if it doesn't sound like Donald Trump here, in support of large-scale deportations. Take a look.
There are those in the immigrants' rights community who have argued passionately that we should simply provide those who are illegally with legal status, or at least ignore the laws on the books and put an end to deportation until we have better laws. Ultimately, our nation, like all nations, has the right and obligation to control its borders and set laws for residency and citizenship. And no matter how decent they are, no matter their reasons, the 11 million who broke these laws should be held accountable.
They should be held accountable. It wasn't just talk. Obama deported millions and millions of illegals in this country, and not even criminal illegal aliens. Now, in 2015, he even honored Tom Homan, who was serving as a top ICE official with the government's highest civil service award for deporting so many illegal immigrants. Take a look.
Mr. Homan is the point person for cooperating with state and local authorities in corresponding with them, again, to achieve this level of cooperation to subdue the chaos on the streets of Minneapolis. And I would just point out that Mr. Homan is someone who has been lauded for many, many decades for his experience working in law enforcement. In fact, this is a Washington Post headline from 9 years ago, 2016. Meet the man the White House has honored for deporting illegal immigrants. And I would remind everyone in this room that it was former President Barack Hussein Obama who awarded a medal to Mr. Homan. So he's obviously very qualified. He has the full trust and faith of the president.
Want to really see something that said, take a look what happened.
Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to.
If you want to go on your social media pages, your X accounts, you guys, Facebook, Instagram, I just challenge you to type in Bill Gates or just type in Epstein. It'll probably be the first thing that comes up. Yeah, buddy. People ought to be walked out with their hands behind their god doggone back. God doggone back. And I see a lot of the family, a lot of the patriots on the show saying, Rick, can we please get that hat? Can we please get the merch? Look, it's the new hats, the new shirts and hoodies. We have listed. I love every last one of y'all, man. There's so many of you guys. Wow. Just in 24 hours, this clip has over 40 million more views, likes, reshares are up in the thousands. Just in 48 hours, people have reposted this clip from 2010. I wonder why.
There are those in the immigrants' rights community who have argued passionately that we should simply provide those who are illegally with legal status, or at least ignore the laws on the books and put an end to deportation until we have better laws. And often this argument is framed in moral terms. Why should we punish people who are just trying to earn a living? I recognize the sense of compassion that drives this argument. But I believe such an indiscriminate approach would be both unwise and unfair.
Oh.
It would suggest to those thinking about coming here illegally that there will be no repercussions for such a decision. And this could lead to a surge in more illegal immigration. And it would also ignore the millions of people around the world who are waiting in line to come here legally. Ultimately, our nation, like all nations, has the right and obligation to control its borders and set laws for residency and citizenship. And no matter how decent they are, no matter their reasons, the 11 million who broke these laws should be held accountable.
Did I hear it correctly? Did I hear it correctly? Am I losing my hearing? Oh, Barry. Oh, Barry. I tell you, you just can't make this up. And is that you giving Tom Homan a medal? Ooh. Oh boy. Obama awarded Tom Homan one of the highest honors available to a federal civil service executive. Boy. Man. Record-setting approvals, removals, deportations. A medal with Obama. But with Trump, the same man, with Trump, right now, Tom Homan is a Nazi. You see, you know, you see, we exposing it in broad daylight every single time. And I love that Caroline Levitt pulled it out in front of everybody. She bought the receipts. I love when they bring the receipts because it seems like y'all forget. The fake news media, you so-called reporters, journalists, we know y'all is activists. We know the bias, the hatred, the fear-mongering, the negativity for President Trump. Y'all can't be fair. Y'all can't tell the god doggone truth, you know. But y'all all seem to forget. So I love when they pull the receipts out on y'all ass. Look.
This is a Washington Post headline from 9 years ago, 2016. Meet the man the White House has honored for deporting illegal immigrants. And I would remind everyone in this room that it was former President Barack Hussein Obama who awarded a medal to Mr. Homan. So he's obviously very qualified. He has the full trust and faith of the president. He will continue to have these meetings in the hopes that ICE and local law enforcement can cooperate and work together to have successful immigration enforcement, as we've seen in almost every other state across the country.
Oh boy, you just can't make that up. Want a good look at it again. Felt good, didn't it, Obama? Obama, it felt good, didn't it? Didn't it, Barry? Smiling, feeling good. Tom Homan got a smile on his face. I mean, man. And look, another clip.
Oops.
With over millions of views in the last couple of hours that people are reposting. Look, we have it all right here. And I'm glad all these clips are going viral right now. And it exposes these Democrats, these hypocrites, these frauds, these hypocrites. You know, hypocrisy. Sweet double standard, huh? Exposing y'all every single day in broad daylight. Because now all of a sudden Trump's the big bad orange man, threat to democracy, dictator, authoritarian. This is authoritarianship. Oh, American citizens are getting deported. We've all lost our rights. Oh, Trump is destroying the country. Unconstitutional, unpresidential. Oh, everybody, go get your gun. Go do this because ICE might be knocking you out, or knocking at your door and pulling you out your car, out your house. Oh, even if you're an American citizen. Oh, get the hell out of here.
The Bush administration has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office.
And here's what I feel is hilarious. That's his cousin, by the way. You gonna throw your cousin under the bus? Wow. All right.
It has become an extraordinary problem. And
look at Hillary. Oh, hell. Look at Hillary. Look how she's looking at old Barry. Look at this. Look at this Democratic debate on CNN. On CNN.
the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. And so what we have to do is create a comprehensive solution to the problem. Now, I have already stated that as president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need. That's step number one. Step number two is to take on employers. Right now, an employer has more chance of getting hit by lightning than be prosecuted for hiring an undocumented worker. That has to change. They have to be held accountable. And when we do those things, I believe...
Is that Biden at the end? Yeah. See all them Democrats lined up? Yeah.
That we can take the undocumented workers, the illegal aliens who are here, get them out of the shadows, make sure that they are subject to a stiff penalty, make sure that they're learning English, make sure that they go to the back of the line so they're not getting an advantage over people who came here legally. And when we do that, I think...
What? He said all that. All of it. The very same person here. That guy that you see on screen. Former President Barack Obama. That is sitting somewhere, tweeting, talking about, democracy is at risk. I should find some of his tweets, by the way, that completely contradict his position from here. Now, a lot of people say, well, yeah, you're not to change your position politically, really? From going from deporter-in-chief to it's okay that the borders are open. I can't believe that ICE are doing these things when you actually used ICE to deport 3 million people. And you were complaining about the open border under a Republican president, by the way, who happens to be your cousin. I'm going to keep saying that.
Make sure they're learning English.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me go back.
But when Trump... They are subject to a stiff penalty. Make sure that they're learning English. Make sure that they go to the back of the line so they're not getting an advantage over people who came here legally. And when we do that, I think that...
Make sure they're learning English.
He said that.
But when Trump said it, he's a racist. When we said it, we're racist, we're Nazis, we're fascists. You know, hey, I just don't get it. Somebody please come in here and slap me and make me understand. Please, somebody walk in here and just slap Rick upside the head and say, Rick, this how look, this how it works, sir. Maybe I'm missing something. Okay.
We can, instead of shedding all this heat, start shedding some light on the problem, and we can once again be a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. That's what I intend to do as president of the United States.
Nation of laws, a nation of immigrants. You know, our president said the same thing. We need it, but we have to do it the right way. And even one of his constituents standing up on stage, they propped him up, asked him what kind of flavor ice cream did he like. Would you like chocolate today, sir? Vanilla? And we even added strawberry today, sir. Yes, and we'll send you on your one-way ticket over there. You just go and sit and go and take a nap. Go and go to bed. We have the machine plugged up in the wall. We have you gave us the authorization code, correct? You did? Okay. We're gonna sign it away. And you said what, sir? Are we doing anything at the border? No, we'll worry about it later. It's wide open. And even Miss Harris, she says she won't be in today. Yeah, they say she is recovering. She's having a hangover. Yeah, they said she was laughing and she took too many shots and she has a hangover. So yeah, no, she won't be headed to the border. We know the borders are, but no, it's fine. And then we'll keep it wide open. You know, because we, again, need the people. We need things to come in. We need, this will work out perfectly for everybody. Even the American people, even the taxpayers. Yeah. You just can't make it up. What a disgrace. Damn, CNN, the Democratic debate. Look at all these frauds up on the stage. People ought to be walked. They all should have been walked out in handcuffs long got doggone time ago. And around this time, I was in elementary? Was I in elementary or middle school? 2000. I was a little boy. You know, unbelievable. I didn't know what the hell was going on in this country. What a disgrace. 2013. Oh boy.
I'm the President of the United States. I'm not the Emperor of the United States. My job is to execute laws that are passed. And Congress right now has not changed what I consider to be a broken immigration system. And what that means is that we have certain obligations to enforce the laws that are in place, even if we think that in many cases the results may be tragic. There are going to be some stories that break our hearts. And more importantly, we're going to continue.
Now, on the pauses, now that's 2013. Now, you got to remember, he put DACA in place. Obama put DACA in place. Now, he's sitting there saying, hey, I've encouraged Congress to fix the broken immigration system. But he wrote an illegal executive order called DACA, who has literally kept people in this gray area of legislation. Now, the Supreme Court did deem DACA illegal, but those people have not been deported. And those are some of the people that are up for deportation. Now, he was asking for the legislatures at that time to fix it so that DACA wouldn't necessarily be a thing. They could be called DACA individuals, but they would actually benefit from changes in immigration, and they didn't make them. Because see, at that time, there was a Republican Congress in there. They were like, we're not doing it this way because there is a legal pathway to citizenship. Now, when the Democrats had all three branches, they didn't pass it. So the question always becomes, why didn't they? They had all three levers under Biden, and they did nothing. Immigration is a tool at this point. I think everybody that listens to me knows it. But people who have not ever listened to me understand it. This is about a body count. This has nothing to do with legal or illegal. This is about body count. They want as many people in here as they possibly can to vote. HB1s, they shouldn't be voting. H1Bs, J1s, they're not citizens. People here on visas that are students shouldn't be voting. Green cards should never be voting. That takes millions of eligible voters, age-wise, right? That the Democrats want out the paint because they can't vote. They're not here legally. But let's continue.
To have an economy that is stifled by a really inefficient system where not only are we deporting folks, but we also have a legal immigration system that is so bottlenecked that it forces sometimes people into the illegal system.
Oh.
Right. That part. That the legal system is so backed up that people are like, I might as well go the illegal route. What are they going to do? Deport me? As long as I can kind of keep my nose clean for at least 5 years, more than likely I'll get citizenship. And that's what people have been doing. You always wonder, like, why do they have 6 and 7 year court hearings? Yes. When they come here illegally, they are given anywhere from 6 to 7 years to come back to court. It should be 6, 7 days. It should be days. It should not be weeks, months. It should be days. You're coming back here in a week, and you're going to sit in this detention center, and you're going to be deported back to your home country. Now, I would be okay with them building detention centers along the border. People come over here illegally, you're going right back. But I'm from Guatemala. I'm not from Mexico. Not my fault, not my problem. You're going back to wherever passage you came through. Figure it out. but you can't stay here. They flew people in all over this country between 21 and 24. They did that. And then they wanted us to look crazy, giving people all kinds of welfare, housing, clothing, education. And you wonder why the American people are upset about immigration? And then you look back on the Obama, he was just like, look, we need to fix this. And he wasn't wrong. We do need to fix it. It's been something that's needed an upgrade, but not in the way the Democrats want to do it. They just want to circumvent the system and give people amnesty. Because you're good. Even Newt Gingrich, I saw a tweet on him. Well, if people have been here a long time and they've been paying tax, no. If they're here illegally, they're here illegally. Get up off the soil and you are barred from the country. I don't even want to see you here on vacation. Get out. We need the Pause Act passed and we need the SAVE Act passed. Now, right now, President Trump wanted the Appropriations Act sent to his desk, no changes, right? Between the House and the Senate. Just pass it, I'll sign it. What I don't like about the Appropriations Act, as I shared with you guys last week, I do not like the zoonoctic positioning in there for like future pandemics that are zoonoctic, that'll go from animal to human contact. They want close to $750,000 put in that. Okay. But Thune, who is in the Senate, he's right now the Senate Majority Leader. He wants to, Senate Minority might be. He wants to remove the SAVE Act from the Appropriations Act, which I get because it's not a budgetary line item. The SAVE Act is something completely separate, and it shouldn't be in the appropriations bill. But the SAVE Act and the Pause Act need to come into law before November. Republicans, these things were started a year ago. Y'all need to get this done, because if you don't get it done, we know you don't care. At this point, those two, y'all should be able to get these done by Friday. Period. The government shut down. Stop it. Do I want the government shut down for zoonoctic funding? No, I don't. I don't like the appropriations bill as it stands, because it's still trying to give money to people that are here illegally. But the one thing that they can do is they can make sure that individuals that are here illegally aren't getting more welfare, right? Cash aid or food stamps. They're not getting any more housing. That all can be shut down outside of this Appropriations Act, and there'll just be money on the books for Americans. So stop your grandstanding. Do not shut down the government. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the Appropriations Act the way it stands, but the Pause and the SAVE Act need to be passed. It needs to get done. The SAVE Act is for voting, making sure and ensuring that everybody has got to use an ID, and that people that are here illegally will suffer criminal prosecution, which they already have this on the books. Is crazy. If they vote in any election, local, state, federal, you're not supposed to vote, period. You're not a citizen here. I don't care if you're a resident, a neighbor, you're not a citizen. You're not allowed to vote in our elections, period. This is not your home. I'm going to say it again. This is not your home. If you are not a naturalized citizen, this is not your home. If you're here on an H-1B visa, any visas, green cards, temporary status, this is not your home. You do not get to vote in our elections, period. But that's what's happening. And the people that are allowing this in these board of elections places at the city, county, and state, they need to go to prison, federal prison, for violating federal law. See, when people start going to prison, this stuff is going to stop, because people are going to be too afraid to do it. Because see, right now, they know they can get away with it. I need all the whistleblowers to come out. shut it down. Start recording. Get this shut down so we can get our country back. Period. So thank you guys for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News for this Tell It All Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow for Women in Wellness Wednesday. It will be open mic. So if anybody would like to be a part of the broadcast, please direct message me on X, or you can send me an email at unfilteredvisionnews@gmail.com. But thank you guys again so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.